I'm going to take off the table, Stugotz, the bad beat at the end of the night, the terrible gambling bad beat that costs you a lot of money. I'm going to take that off the table as one of the options in the question I'm asking you guys.
Okay.
All of sports, basketball, soccer, football, whatever sport you wish to choose, the ending of a game that's going to have you lose sleep most likely that night is blank anywhere in sports. Because I think the hockey overtime goal that kills you on the road is something that makes sports fans sleep less than anything except maybe like a buzzer beater.
I think a buzzer beater for me, but especially when you're up 3-1 in that game.
But just the fear in overtime, okay, that the game can just end, and exactly that way. Because that right there last night is why that's the only team I fear if I'm the Panthers, because they can do that to you when you're up 3-1, and no one else can do that to you. There's not another team in the sport.
No one else has.
There's not another team in the sport that can do that to them. Have Sam Bennett talking after the game about usually we don't let up, but we let up. No, you didn't let up. It's they shot a bunch of times because they're really good. You were gassed and you had a power play, and you can't allow a power play in overtime against that team.
You're describing letting up. Them getting gassed. Yeah, it was uncharacteristic, but to your point, I think that was the first Panther loss of the postseason, of the last few postseasons, really, where I'm like, yeah, we could maintain possession a little bit more. We were a little sloppy with the puck in our own end, but we got beat. Like, this wasn't like the Toronto series or when we effed around with Carolina playing with our food, where I'm like, we'll tighten that up. We know what's wrong. We made some lazy passes in the neutral zone, and we got beat. It's really one of the first times in a long time that you can say that about a postseason Panther run where the other team was better than you on the night.
That was just a great game, though. I mean,
fantastic.
I think I have the prism of we won the championship last year.
So you have a cup in your pocket?
I had all the fear. I had all the fear last night, but I was able to kind of step back and just be like, holy shit, overtime, game one. Like, this is going to be an excellent series.
Thank God it wasn't Carolina, Dallas. Can you imagine?
Right.
Who in their right mind's like, man, you know what I wish I saw right now? Jamie Benn. That would really do it for me.
Really makes game two a must-win.
It really does,
Really?
Duke. It really does.
Yeah.
From your lips, my man.
Can you guys give me another sport that you think – because
the way the Bills lost to the Chiefs, where like a drop or we could have gotten to that, that was a pretty brutal way for the Bills to lose. A controversial call, a Fiesta Bowl still wakes me up at night.
A bad error in baseball. Like, I know people don't care about baseball, but like the Buckner situation, bottom of the ninth, bad error, and you're like, that's a bad
Game 6 of the World Series, though. It takes that.
But just losing on an error.
Like David Freese, the Rangers are an out away from a strike away from a World Series twice in a game, and then they end up not winning the World Series at all.
But your point's taken, Dan. That sucked.
Not great, but it was game one, and that's what Panthers in 7 can look like.
everybody's rooting against the Panthers, and I will tell you I had a thought that I haven't had until now last night because I am scared of what Edmonton has become. My thought was, man, it would suck and feel like underachievement if the last 3 years only ended in one title with as good as this team is. Like, it would hurt to have only one title in 3 years. But I'm telling you that I'm not saying it has to be like this, but if you told me what would it look like to recreate my fears in a way that would make me think that the Panthers are not going to be able to overcome this.
It would look like last night.
It's McDavid to Draisaitl at the end and the reminder, oh, Draisaitl didn't do shit in that series last year.
Stop that. Stop that. Stop that. Yeah. I hear him chat to the noise. Move too quick, can't stop for the talking. I hear him chat with the walking. Just too sharp with the prize. White girls better tell me I'm awesome. Yeah. Hot like fire on the pan. If you wanna touch my please use caution. Cold like 0 degrees. I'm out the cage, gotta let out the beast. Revolutionary, gotta let out the streets. Locked in a cage, I'ma let out the sheets. We came for one man, forget my peace. You take the west side, take on the east. I'ma put them in a cage, never let out the. Yeah. I hear him chat to the noise, move too quick, can't stop for the talking. I hear him chat with the boys, not so tough, but man's keep walking, yeah. Just too sharp with the prize, right guys, let it tell me I'm awesome, yeah. Hot like fire on the pan, if you wanna touch my please use caution. Stop that, stop that, stop that.
Put it on the poll, please, Juju, at Le Batard Show. Given his name, shouldn't Dalton Kincaid be better at football? Given just his name. I was thinking about great names, Stugotz, because Draisaitl, we're going to try and fix that echo. Is everyone getting that echo, or am I the only one getting that echo? Draisaitl is a pretty perfect name for a hockey player, and I wanted to ask all of you to give me what you believe to be the most perfect name in the history of hockey players.
Oh, wow.
Do you want to play this game? I believe it's an eternal game. Men of our age can play at any time. It can break out anywhere you are and be fun for the whole family.
I've been waiting for this game and this show my entire life. I have 5. I mean, how about that?
You have 5?
Yes.
5 perfect names.
Well, 5 cool hockey names is what I have.
Okay, so you're claiming, because I think I have one that will be the winner. That
Johnny
there will
Hockey?
be no winner better than the one that I have.
Rest in peace. I was actually Johnny Gaudreau.
You want to start with number 5?
Sure. Number 5, Leon Draisaitl.
You need the fanfare, Roy.
He hit the fanfare. I heard it. I got
Okay,
it.
I can't hear fanfare.
All right.
What's going on
Now
there?
we got Robert, we got DJ,
Robert
we got a
Kirk.
team of people coming in here to
Robert
try and fix
Njiku.
the echo, so it's not just my echo here.
Echo.
Wait a second.
I heard that one.
There's one name that if it's not on your list, shame on you.
Rick Tocchet. It's not on the list. I was just asking Mike a question.
Get ready to be shamed.
Huh. Number 4, Darius Kasparaitis.
I'm glad that's on there.
Not an echo chamber. I don't hear the fanfare. I'm just letting you guys know. Number 3.
Jeff Bookaboom.
That was a name. Yeah, that was the name. Yes.
I don't think that you're going to be able to beat mine, but let's see.
Jeff
It might be the final
Bookaboom
two.
didn't beat Draisaitl? What are we doing
No,
here?
I'm going to beat Draisaitl. I've got one better than Draisaitl.
Really?
Yes.
Number 2, Billy Smith. Islander goalie. I named my
Screw
cat
you.
after him. He died.
Screw you. If you're going Islanders, you go Ziggy Palffy. You go Ziggy Palffy if you're going Islanders.
And number 1, the great one.
That's not a name.
Ziggy Palffy, Billy, what?
What do you guys have? What do you guys?
I mean, there's no better name than Jeff Bookaboom.
I
Wow.
disagree. What if I counter your Bookaboom with Reijo Ruotsalainen?
Oh, wow. A Ruotsalainen.
Given the confidence behind that one, I feel pretty good about Jeff Bookaboom.
You want to spell? You want to try to? I don't know how to spell Reijo Ruotsalainen.
Careful.
That's the tough part of the name to spell.
It was Jeremy's birthday yesterday. You'd be damn careful. No, Jeff Bookaboom is a name.
It's a good one.
How about Nikolai Habibulin?
Oh, wow.
The Bulin Wall.
Wow.
That's a great name.
Good name.
It's a great
Good
name.
hand.
It's a great name.
It doesn't bring the Bookaboom, though.
Jeremy did just turn 30 and made us feel old by saying he had his first professional thought post 30. What was your first professional thought post 30?
I'm a little bit afraid to say it because I think Samson will use it against me inevitably in working here. But at 30, you go from being like a young person to young for a person. And professionally, what I realized is I'm no longer a young star in this business. I'm just a star. And like, that does not feel the same way. Nobody likes a star.
Is that what it is with you?
You just called yourself a star?
did.
A lot of people were calling me a young star, and I mean, I'm not young anymore, so.
I thought you were like 34 easy.
Birthday to him. I don't care. Good luck.
I've aged a lot in the last few years working here.
An old 34. Yeah.
You did think he was over 30, right, Billy? That he just looks
Yeah.
over 30.
Yeah, you have a look like you're over 30.
Thanks.
I'm a little bit stunned that he just called himself a star. I don't think I've ever heard anybody do that.
The echo's gone though.
Ishbia is fun to say. I mentioned this yesterday. Do you have, and all these names that we just said are fun to say.
The
Although,
great one. I mean,
Zolly Zalapski.
oh, my God. Wow.
Look how pleased Roy is with himself.
As he should. I mean,
If we're playing fun owner names to say, I nominate Tillman Fertitta.
yeah.
Oh, that's a good one.
Good one.
It's just owners. You're just doing.
Well,
it
that's
in
what we
the
were doing
owners?
yesterday with Ishbia, so I want to play that game.
How about Garth Butcher?
Pretty good name.
The Butcher.
They actually called him the Garth. It's weird.
That game last night, when I tell you guys, and I know you've been tired of this analysis of fearing hockey throughout the last two playoffs because it can be so random, but it hasn't been that random this year. The two best teams have buzzsawed through the playoffs, and they've gotten to face each other. And that result, Roy, is exactly what I was afraid of in all of the ways. The Panthers, keep in mind, so they get the goals from Bennett and Marchand, and it makes them a team that now has 50 road playoff goals. That hasn't happened since the 93 Kings, okay? That team had Gretzky on it.
The great one.
That
Well,
team,
it's most all time.
that,
on the road.
I know. That team had Yari Curry on it. That team had McSorley on it. Like, that team was basically the champion Edmonton Oilers scoring on the road in 1993. The Panthers get the two road goals, go up 3-1. They had been under Paul Maurice 18-0 when they've got the lead at the start of the third period. They've been 31-0 when they've got the lead after the first or second period. And what happened to them is 46 shots, and they got those two guys. And I'm telling you, there hasn't been a feeling in Edmonton since they had the great one that felt as good as Draisaitl scoring that goal, the smoke blowing in, the horn going off, and he spreads his arms in the photo behind me. That's going to be a classic photo in Edmonton of him scoring that goal, and that goal was beautiful. And the Panthers were done. You can't allow that power play. And they were going to lose anyway because they had no legs and they were fried. And I'm not used to it because they're the boa constrictor in the third. They crush everybody in the third. They're not the ones who get tired.
Yeah, they looked absolutely exhausted. The breakouts were basically flipping the puck in the air like what they did against Carolina. And when they actually tried to get into Edmonton's zone, it was a dump in and they couldn't support their own forecheck. It just looked like the legs were under them at all.
I feel like it's a credit to the Panthers, though, how much they were in that game last night. That thing felt from the beginning like this could be bad. This could be a 5-1 Edmonton
Because
win.
they scored in the first 2 minutes?
They got outplayed that whole first period. Outside of like a 3-minute stretch, that first period was dominated by Edmonton. We're up after that first period. We dominate the second period. The third period was not good, but I take away from that, like, we're right. Like, yes, Edmonton is better, but we are too. Like, I feel good about the Panthers after that game.
That's a bad loss, man. They're
No.
18-0 under Paul Maurice when they lead after 2 periods.
They were
Like,
due.
it's a bad loss.
That's not a bad loss, dude. That is a
Chris.
tough game. That is a great team they're playing on the road.
Chris,
I'm just
it's
not,
game 1, Stanley Cup Finals.
right, and they played.
You're up 3-1.
I'm not gonna like. Yes, we lost. They didn't play well in that third period, and yes, I'll give you that. But I'm not going to sit here and say this is gonna be this is a 21 period series.
Yeah,
It's game 7
With the context of they don't blow 2-goal leads, it hurts. But that was the deserved result. Edmonton was better on the night. Ron Tugnut.
Oh, wow. I mean, wow.
That is asinine, what he just said.
Tug nuts?
Do you know how bad Tug Nut? Not Tug Nuts. That's the whole family.
I didn't say nuts.
That's the whole family.
Tug nuts.
Yeah, that's the whole family is the Tug Nuts. What he just did is perfectly Chris Cody. He says it's a 21-period series after an overtime game.
21 and a half.
wasn't a full period.
So how many periods is it if there's another overtime game?
There is something a little liberating about how Chris said you have the cup in your back pocket, and yeah, it would stink that that if this run after 3 years concludes with just one cup. I mean, they made it as an 8 seed to a much better, much healthier Vegas Golden Knights team. They were broken in that final. That was the achievement, to finally get there and get past the Tampa Bay Lightning, at least in the bracket. And they got their cup, but this time they're running into someone that you look across the ice at and you're like, damn, they might be better. And there's something there is relief in that, okay, it's not something stupid. We're not beating ourselves. Those are two of the best players in the world, and you gotta tap into something extra. And it may be that they have nothing left after a 3-year run. It may be that. Jonathan Chichu.
Well, it was stupid.
What?
The delay of game penalty by Tomas Nosek. That was
You're
you
a
can't do that.
I know he's been dependable. You're fourth liner in overtime. That's the kind of stuff that happens. And as soon as it happened, you realize that we're not going to survive.
It cost you
this.
the game.
Yeah,
but we can't play this game though.
lot of
I
things
was
cost
with
us a game.
I was with Panther fans last night, and they start doing the thing. Why is our fourth? It's like this fourth line has been carrying us this entire playoffs.
We don't.
They have one bad game, and you're going to be like, get this fourth line. No. This is why we're so good. We play our four lines, and they've played well. Yes, that's a bad penalty, but I'm not going to punt on Nosek after one bad play.
Paul Maurice was very quick in the postgame to highlight we're not in this position. We're down 2 goals against Toronto in Game 3. We go to overtime. That fourth line saved our bacon. Nosek was a huge part about that comeback and eventual series win. Yeah, it was an unfortunate penalty. You knew they would make you pay for it, but whatever. Those are the breaks. Thankfully, they got to win 3 more games.
So when you guys say good loss or bad loss, I think it's a crushing loss. And it's because it's the first time in this postseason where a champion can look across the ice and be like, oh, shit, they might be better. It hasn't happened. They haven't had any reason to think that through everything they've been doing. But when you're the best at something, and in Game 1, they erase that because they're the one team in the sport that can. 3-1 doesn't matter against them.
That's a fine. Stugotz, yep.
I'm not certain it was my phone. I mean,
Then why are you holding it?
I know, but how do you know my phone is the one that buzzed? I don't know.
Because-
I always have it on silent. Yeah. It was me.
What? Yeah. Anyway, the Panthers, obviously, they gave up that early going in the first period, but they quickly erased that. So I'm not really worried about them going into Game 2. They're going to adjust, and they're going to play better.
Okay, you say that, but you also would acknowledge that what I'm saying is something that is totally reasonable.
Yeah,
that the Panthers can look across the ice and think that they're facing something that might be better than them.
But I think Edmonton can do that too.
Yeah,
Let me explain something here, Dan. They're not giving you what you want. What you want is tears. They're giving you confidence. Okay?
I'm not giving confidence. Like, he literally just sold my take. Yeah, they might be better. And if that's how this ends, I guess, yeah, shit. We ran into the player of his generation that is peaking at 28 years old and doing all the things. And Greg Cody should shut his mouth when it comes to Connor McDavid's defense. He showed you that was the best defensive forward. McSelkey on the ice. He saved several plays, several chances for Edmonton. I don't understand why there's this notion, because maybe he's not winning the Selke Award and people aren't talking about it because he's a demigod offensively. But there is no reason for Connor McDavid to not be one of, if not the best defensive forwards in the league. He has all the tools. He has the instincts. He has the speed to make up for mistakes. He showed you why. He was much better defensively than Draisaitl, who's awesome this year. He was much better than Barkov, who's an all-timer defensively. He was incredible last night.
What do you guys yell whenever McDavid gets the puck around like mid-ice and he's getting going? Like, I'm always like, cut him off! Like, it's so hard to do that.
Just go shit,
like, just
shit,
me
shit.
with like
Shit.
a beer in my hand. Cut him off! Like, as if that's an easy thing
That's
to do.
right. It's good coaching. It's good.
I mean,
It's good advice.
Stop him!
Be faster
Like,
than the
that's
fastest
me
man
every
alive.
time. He gets the puck, he gets going with the speed. I'm like, cut him off!
Radek Bunk.
That's good. I just sort of try to catch my breath and gasp a little bit and whimper.
I put my hands on my head. I'm like, ah!
Jerome Ginla.
When they are on a power play and they have possession, I am just hands on head, like, oh.
They have the thing every team wants. It's not just
The greatest player ever,
It's not
yes.
just the player. It's not just the player. It's what they are on the power play. It's basically your entire fan base feels like it's on skates going backwards. The entire
We're all skating together.
The entire fan base is backpedaling. Like,
It's the greatest player ever. I know Draisaitl is really good. He's won the Hart Trophy, which is the MVP of that league. The West was so competitive this year. I'm not exactly sure Edmonton gets into the playoffs without Connor McDavid. They have the best player. They have the best player. That it doesn't matter how good your defense is. You know where the puck is going, and he's terrifying every time out. His best is better than your best every time. You have to win when he's off the ice. That's what they have. They have the best player. They are in this position because they have Connor McDavid. It's not anything else. Yes, you can pull puppet strings and other guys can make contributions. They're probably not even a playoff team without that guy.
I thought both goalies were great last night.
Yeah.
They were. Skinner made some big-time timely saves. I thought Bobrovsky was probably playing a little fast and loose and sloppy with the puck. That was a little throwback to last postseason. He became someone that you can trust, and this was the messiest he's been with the puck. And
But he
he'll
still
tighten that
saved
up.
us.
Yeah,
a
he was
lot.
huge. He was huge.
Rebound control has always been an issue with him, and you saw that on the first goal, and there were screens in front of him. He could not see the puck for the other 2 goals in regulation, so that's what happened. But Bobrovsky, he looked pretty good tonight. I think he settled in, and obviously mistakes by the Panthers kind of wrecked him.
You have been stoic. You've been all bravado. You say no fear at every turn. What would I have had to do last night to place fear in you? Is there a result?
blowout,
or
maybe?
I don't think. I
Well,
believe.
no, because last season there were a couple of blowouts in Edmonton. I wasn't phased about it at all.
With a 3-0 lead, yeah. We're good. We can survive this 6-1.
The thing about last night, I think you would all agree with this part. Those things that Edmonton specifically did to beat you are the most demoralizing of the things. It's their 2 best players. You had a confidence about we're unbeaten with Maurice if we lead after 2 periods. If we're unbeaten with Maurice in the playoffs, if we lead after 1 period, after 2 periods, and obviously after 3 periods, you have a situation where they took from you the stat you guys loved. They took 1 game into the series, and in the most heartbreaking way, it's overtime. How did you guys sleep last night? I'm dead serious about this. When you lose that
I was
way,
drunk.
you can't get right back. You can't get right to sleep, can you?
I slept like a baby. There's a funny thing that happens to you as you get older because I don't care about either of these teams. I was just rooting for that game to be over and over.
Well, this is what's happening around here. You had Stugotz rooting for no double overtime, and you had Jeremy, and I don't know what we did to make this so, although I can guess. Jeremy found himself rooting against the Panthers last night just because of our show.
Just a little bit. Like, I really love that team. I enjoyed covering them. But what this show has done in terms of the bravado around this team, and more importantly, this was a show that hated on Broward County to a point where it made me a self-hating resident of Broward County. And now, the moment that this Miami Heat show
Welcome to Heat coverage, buddy.
faces a difficult moment, the moment the Miami Heat face even a little bit of turbulence, it's, we're going to jump ship and go all be Panthers fans. A thing that was never spoken about on this show until very recently, and then we're bringing in people just to be Panthers fans?
Wait, we have to pick between teams now? Why
That's
can't we
sure
be
what
Heat
happened.
and
You
Panthers
guys are
fans?
quitters. You quit on your franchise,
How are you
and
talking
you
about?
jump
He's a
ship
star. He makes the
over
rules.
to
Well
this
said,
other
Billy.
team.
Johnson right here.
Billy, you were the one who was right. It was a must-win yesterday.
Sorry.
I
And
said
They
that.
were in the finals at the same exact time as 8 seeds. What the hell are you
I
talking
understand
about?
this, but at this moment, the moment things got difficult for the Miami Heat, you guys jumped ship and all of a sudden embraced this Broward County team, and I'll tell you, it just doesn't sit right with me.
No, the moment they acquired Terry Rozier, you idiot. Get out of here. Can you send him away?
I
It started
cannot-
far before that.
What was that?
He hasn't been here all week, although I did like Billy in the background doing this, saying, speed it up, speed it up.
Billy
You know
was right.
me.
They're front runners.
I'm a captain of efficiency, Dan.
I know this about you. Jeremy's
Star
criti-
effers, but not me.
I think Jeremy's criticism is a fair one. I will tell you, and I don't mind saying this out loud, what I'm seeing out of Edmonton, you will see no bravado from me. You will see no bravado. I've watched enough hockey in my life to know to respect what is at the center of that team.
But we were right there with them. You
ya?
should respect the Panthers, too.
Do ya? Or should we put up the McOverrated graphic behind you? No. This is what we told you.
This is not me. This is Greg Cody's opinion that he
Oh,
adheres
you.
to. Wait a minute. What do you mean me?
I know to respect what is at the center of that team.
Billboards?
I do.
Should we do more billboards?
Well, wait a minute. Doesn't mean I respect it more than my commitment to the joke when Greg Cody can make himself the middle of the Stanley Cup final.
All right, cool. Little footnote to that statement then.
But when I'm watching, and you guys have made fun of me the last couple of days because I continued to give him what I believe is bestowing my highest reverence by continuing to say of McDavid, what cometh this way. I'm describing it like
It's the way you have to say it,
but it's
yes.
because I hear dinosaur steps, like they sound like dinosaur steps.
I said it last night. I was like, he's cometh.
Yeah.
Cut him off!
Cut him off!
Cut him
Don't
off
let him cometh! Don't let him cometh!
When Bennett scored that second goal, though, I cameth. He's so good.
Oh,
you gotta pay
God.
him. You gotta pay him what he wants. You know, that is a franchise record for postseason goals. Quietly, Sam Bennett has. It also ties an NHL record for goals by a single player on the road.
Can the TNT crew stop talking about him making money this offseason? Every time he has a good period, they go to TNT and they're like, man, Sam Bennett's gonna get the bank this year.
They're trying to blow our thing up.
He'll stay because he represents my city.
I don't know exactly what it is that Jeremy is doing with this.
Neither do I.
We're not talking about the Heat because they were eliminated
I got up
2
in the
months
air
ago.
with it, but I'm leaning in. My city.
Okay, you know what? I got to get rid of him. I'm sorry. I was so delayed.
hasn't been here all
to
week.
this. I know, but
Hold the umbrella. It just gets in the
Minor
way.
penalty, 2 minutes scrambling.
the face behind Billy Gill right now.
Are they still celebrating at that arena?
That
Yes.
face right there, that is
That
Edmonton.
one.
That is, those people are so happy. That Draisaitl moment, that goal is something.
That guy.
That's the guy.
We're just freezing on that guy.
It is so Edmonton right there. Look at the diversity of that crowd. It seems like it's people from all over the world enjoying hockey.
3 Canadas.
People in the hockey chat were like, "Man, look at that crowd. Do you think there's a crowd like that outside of the Amarant Bank Arena?" I'm like, "There's one place to go in Edmonton. It's that building. Of course, they're all going to be there."
Look at that guy.
What is the age? What is the correct age for the feeling that Stugotz is talking about, which he's laying on the couch and he's actively rooting for no double overtime. He's rooting against the game being better. I remember, can you guys look up for me? I remember my first hockey game. First hockey game I ever saw was Billy Smith's Islanders, and I believe it was like a 3 or 4 overtime game that they had with Mike Bossy and somebody else.
That's
and
a good name.
I didn't even know.
Great one.
I didn't even know.
That was Gretzky.
No, that's Gretzky. Yeah. Dane Potvin.
I didn't even know that there could be such a thing as a playoff game because I just didn't know anything about hockey. I'm literally watching on network television. There are 3 channels in whatever year it is that it would be that they would be showing the hockey finals. I'm not even sure. It wouldn't have been on tape delay, right? That was basketball back then that would have been on tape
Yes.
delay. But there was a 3 or a 4 overtime game, and it just kept going and going and going. At what age do you become so old that you don't even want double overtime anymore? You don't even care about the investment that you've made. Like, to me, that's like walking out of a movie 3 minutes before it's over.
Right.
I mean, when it's a Stanley Cup, you don't want it to end. But when that goal went in, well, actually, when the penalty happened, I'm like, it saves me like $40 on the sitter.
Let's beat traffic.
Well, it's
not game 7.
This rate is friendly.
It's game 1.
Why is one half of the Sticky Bandits over my shoulder?
But Dan, if you're into the game, I don't think you care. Like, I'm not certain if this is the game you're talking about, but the Islanders' first cup was a goal by Bobby Nystrom from John Tonelli, which happened, I don't know, with 7 minutes left in overtime, the first overtime. But you'll stay up. When you're young and you care about the team that's playing for the Stanley Cup, you'll stay up all night and watch the game.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just getting old.
Game 4, the 96 Stanley Cup final against Colorado. It's like the
Ooh,
latest I had ever stayed up during a school night.
So, Billy, we did not talk about this yesterday. Your Marlins were swept by the Colorado Rockies, who came into that series not having won a series in more than 250 days.
Yeah.
They sweep your Marlins. Did you pay attention to that series? Have you wandered over to where the Panthers are with any kind of caring, or were you just wounded from being swept by the Rockies and had no time for any sports last night?
No, I had the hockey game on, the Stanley Cup, the Panthers and the Oilers. The Marlins had a nooner yesterday. I think it was like a 12:40. They were done early. They were done like 2:30.
Getaway day.
Rockies came in. Rockies had won, I believe, 9 games coming into the series, and they won 3 games this series. So a third of their wins, well, now a quarter of their wins of the 12 have come in the last 3 games. Don't look now.
Oh, don't look now.
Rockies are coming.
Getting hot.
Yeah.
Here come the Rocks.
Just like that, the Rocks are back.
So you do realize that the Rockies, because they started 8-50, started worse than any team in the history of our most historic sport.
Yeah, it's too bad. People should have taken the over on the season wins. I think it was 37.5. Who knows what it is now? I'm going to look into this now. It's probably damn near 39 after that series.
Well, this is weird, right? Because the Dodgers were the win total for the Dodgers this year was over 104.5. Do you realize what the Dodgers are in their last 18 games, Stugotz?
I'm going to say like 15-3.
They're 8-10.
What?
Dodgers are playing another sport. Like, Dodgers aren't in Major League Baseball. Enough of the Dodgers.
That's how you play the game, Stu.
They're 8-10 in their last
My first
18. What do
rodeo.
you mean they're playing another sport?
The Dodgers.
They lose more than Carl Anthony
No,
Towns.
Dodgers will be fine. Don't worry about the Dodgers. If you're worried about the Dodgers, you're being a silly boy. The Dodgers are going to be just fine. Dave Roberts is going to be there forever. Dodgers. Don't get me started on the Dodgers.
Okay.
Did you just call Cat a loser?
I said they win less than Carl Anthony Towns because I was making a callback to Carl Anthony Towns as a winning record, but only if you include his college career. He has a losing record in the pros, but if you include what he did.
What'd you call him?
I didn't call him a loser. I only called the city of Toronto losers, the Maple Leaf franchise. I only call franchises losers and cities. I do not call individuals losers. It's a little life rule.
Where you draw the line?
That I have. Yes, it's easier to take out a whole city without taking out any one person personally.
But what if it's an individual sport where the person is the franchise? Then can they be a loser? Like, can a golfer be a loser or a tennis player be a loser?
I don't call human beings losers.
But they're the franchise, Dan.
I call.
You're not better than me.
I didn't say
That's a
I
good
was better
good
than
take,
you.
Chris.
I didn't say I was
I don't know if
better
I
than
agree
you.
with it, but it's a good take.
You don't call people losers. Do you call people stars?
I don't call myself a star. I don't.
Neither do I. A whole bunch of other people did, including you.
Come here, let me fuck you.
Knew there was a reason you two were in together today.
Mike Ryan has an exclusive Ronaldo report. How are we dressing these up? How are we? Are we dressing up your exclusive reports?
So I put on the journalism cap.
Wow.
As you know, I broke the biggest story in soccer history when I was on the Messi beat for a year and a half, nailing it.
Right.
As other reputable reporters were telling you the opposite. I was telling you Messi to Miami is a real distinct possibility, and then I broke that Messi was coming.
This is a big name we're talking about. Is this a bigger story?
no.
No. Cristiano
Oh, okay.
Ronaldo is out of contract. He's renegotiating with his current club, Marseille in Saudi Arabia. He wants to play in the Club World Cup, and I happen to know Gianni Infantino, the head of FIFA, is kind of pressuring teams that are in this Club World Cup to sign Ronaldo. They have this media rights package that's on the zone here in this country, like 24 of the games on TNT. He wants this to be big. This is the first Club World Cup, and he wants the co-face of a generation, Cristiano Ronaldo, in it. So if he's pressuring all these clubs, one would wonder, hey, Inter Miami's one of these clubs in the Club World Cup. Might they have interest in potentially loaning Cristiano Ronaldo for just this tournament? And perhaps form a super team of Messi and Ronaldo. Yes, they're up there, but how incredible would that be? An olive branch, the two most divisive fan bases coming together. Inter Miami, no interest.
What?
You happen to know?
No interest.
Why?
No interest in Cristiano Ronaldo. I think the reason's pretty obvious. So we'll leave it at that.
That's Messi saying he has no interest? Is that?
No interest in Cristiano Ronaldo here at Inter Miami. Maybe he'll find another club in the Club World Cup. We'll see. I don't know where he's going, but I'm pretty sure it ain't Inter Miami.
Wow.
Given the
Soccer so close to being back. I mean,
What is your highest report? Is it I happen to know or I know for a fact? Like what is the highest?
This one I kicked the tires on. I was like, hey, I hear Infantino is pressuring these clubs in the World Cup to sign Ronaldo. Anything? No. Okay, cool. I'll just see myself out. That was kind of how that one went.
That's kicking the tires.
Yeah, a little kick of the tires, and I'm here to exclusively report don't Photoshop Cristiano Ronaldo in an Inter Miami jersey. I don't think that's gonna happen.
The kicking of the tires, that has to be bicycles, right? That tells you nothing if you kick an automobile tire, correct? It will tell you much of nothing.
Sometimes it hurts.
But the kicking of tires has to be a bicycle before you realize whether a tire. You can't tell totally. You can either see that an automobile tire is flat, or you can feel it from driving, but kicking a tire, that's not going to have anything to do with an automobile tire, is it?
The phrase dates to the earliest days of trucking, when a tire might look inflated but actually be flat because the other tires on the same axle were holding it up. So drivers would strike the tire with a tool called a tire billy, which resembles a billy club, to determine whether you had a flat.
Thank you, Jeremy. That's why you're the star that you are.
So it's not bicycles. It's the biggest vehicle we have.
It is. It's the truck. Yeah, it's the truck. I wouldn't have known that. You mentioned journalism, and I was listening to some sounds here, Stugotz, and I wanted to get your thoughts before I play this sound. The feud between Pablo Torre and Bill Simmons that is now ended because Bill Simmons hadn't actually seen any of the reporting Pablo had done and just had commentary that wasn't informed by anything. And
That's how you do it, Dano.
They reconciled. If I tell you the Sports Hub in Boston was talking about this feud between Pablo Torre finds out and Bill Belichick and Bill Simmons. Can you tell me where you think the Sports Hub in Boston would side in this particular feud?
I think they'll side with Pablo over Bill Simmons. I'm not certain the guys at the Sports Hub really like Bill Simmons that much. I don't know.
Bill Simmons is a Boston icon, is he not? He's Bill Simmons is the Sports Hub. I would assume that the Sports Hub would be a place where you would find a haven for Bill Simmons. But I was a bit shocked when I heard the commentary on the Sports Hub.
I get it. You're so much better than this, but you're doing a podcast on a movie from 1978.
Well,
that's what everyone's got time for. You know what? What the hell's he talking about? During a podcast referring to a movie that no one's seen for 40 years, you've got the audacity that a movie that came out when I was 3 that's not The Godfather or something, that you're, during that exercise, you're talking about Pablo Torre is wasting everyone's time with the Belichick story. You're literally doing something, the most frivolous thing that you could ever do. So Pablo Torre is the 50 Cent of journalism. Pablo, anything you need from me, baby, you reach out. We're all here for you. We got your back. Pablo Torre, the greatest sports journalist in the world.
That's just shocking to hear.
Like
all
a turn
of
at the end.
The 50 Cent
in the world.
What does he mean by that?
He said no one wants to beef with him. No one, you can't beef with him. You shouldn't beef with him. He's gonna open up his briefcase and he's gonna say, "I happen to have a few questions for you," and then you're just gonna melt in his journalistic breath.
Anything you need from me, baby.
Billy, why are you shaking your head?
I don't know what I just heard. It's an odd turn there.
The ending of that is where it crescendos. I was not expecting any of those people to say any of that, but for it to end with he's the 50 Cent of journalism, which means no one wishes to beef with him. He has escalated to that point very quickly.
So Pablo Torre is the 50 Cent of journalism.
Boston's also out on Belichick, though, right? Like, that didn't end great. Like, they're looking for things to make Belichick look bad at the
that's
moment.
one of the things they did in sideswiping Simmons is they kept saying, if you were still from here, you'd know how people.
He's Hollywood now.
I hate that.
If you know how people here feel about Belichick and that story.
Mike, I hate it as well. It doesn't matter that Bill moved across the country to L.A., to the place that Boston hates the most. He can still cover Boston sports in 2025 and do it very well. But that's where I knew those guys would go.
You know what I think?
Right.
Anytime I see Bill Simmons, I'm like, this guy doesn't rep Boston enough. That's what I think. Anytime. What are we doing? Like, we're going to hipster shame as if, like, I like Bill Simmons' first couple albums. What are we doing?
Well, Pablo Torre's Boston years were Harvard, which
We got your back.
tend to be things that annoy people. How often he reminds. Right at the top of the Simmons podcast, he says, I didn't fly in for this. I was here for the Peabody.
Yeah, that was a flex.
Well done.
That was a mad flex.
Proud of him.
And also, like, a good shame card to pull. Like, you kind of ruined that for me a little bit by not calling me a journalist. The whole thing was silly. And I think they both reacted in kind when they recorded the podcast, and you realize all of this is very stupid.
Congratulations to Pablo for winning the big trophy, huh? The Peabody.
He didn't win it.
He didn't win. But Awful Announcing did put out a story saying that he won the beef. So...
Oh, really?
Yeah. They said decisively he won the beef.
Wow.
Yeah, I wrote the article under my nom de plume. I have seen an uptick. What's going on here? We must be doing numbers.
Congratulations to Pablo Torre for officially winning the beef, according to Awful Announcing. a giant victory, but to win it in Boston.
If he could only win one, the beef with Bill Simmons or the Peabody, which one do you think Pablo would choose?
The Peabody.
Really? Yeah. I choose Simmons.
Yeah.
Fun game, though.
Peabody. Peabody.
Pablo really wanted the Peabody.
Really does.
But he likes the attention too. So
He does like the attention. He does. Pablo, I remember this is a funny memory. It used to be behind me in the coloring book of Pablo crowd surfing at the Moss Miami. But the funny memory is him standing at the end of the stage and whispering before turning his back and allowing those people to just carry him across the crowd on his back. He just says, "The child in me is a kindergartner who always wanted to be seen, wouldn't even recognize this person I've become who wants to do this thing where he crowd surfs." He loves attention
Jesus
so much.
Christ, man. Just crowd surf. I mean,
Anything you need from me, baby.
That was the part.
That feels a little bit like
insincere.
That's the most Hollywood thing that I've heard.
Anything you need from me, baby.
They're criticizing the Hollywood bona fides of Bill Simmons while sounding like a producer.
This is really a spectacularly insincere overreach.
Anything you need from me, baby.
This episode of the Dan Le Batard Show with Stugotz is presented by DraftKings. DraftKings, the crown is yours.
Chris Cody, why are you laughing?
We're just obsessed with this music video back here. The guy from Rascal Flatts and Akon have the song of the summer, and we just can't get enough of it.
Yeah, so like what you heard as soon as Roy turned on his microphone is Billy saying he looks like Jeff Daniels because he's watching the video just on mute. He wanted to experience first with no music attached, which you're not getting the full experience, pal. But I've also run 10,000 simulations, and I think this is the only way that the Florida Panthers can outdo Chaperone's Pink Pony Club. We're going up against an irresistible force, so we need to start playing this in the locker room after games.
You guys
This is
have been
our only
watching
shot.
this video for the last 90 minutes obsessively. What is happening in this video?
So much. So a lot of
Feeling so many emotions.
A lot of water retention is happening in the faces primarily of guys you maybe last thought about 20 years ago, but this is outstanding. Akon, good to see you, pal. Great to see you. Thank you for the contribution. A Columbia shirt over that fit is a wild choice.
Can we, without the music, just play the video in the corner of the screen without any music, without any audio? Do we have the ability
Being
to
told
show-
we cannot do
We
that.
can't do that? The algo?
can't just
Can
show
we just
the
get a still of this fit?
Just show the face.
A lot of Pablo's producers are presently betraying him, and one of them, because he does have a lot of producers, says that the amount of times that Pablo mentioned the word Peabody on the Bill Simmons podcast was totally crazy, and that Pablo's friends assumed that he had won the Peabody. Didn't have a clue that
That's what I thought.
that
yeah.
it was just a nomination from the amount. I mean, he might as well have won the Peabody given how he celebrated the nomination of the Peabody, it feels like. I have something I want to read to you here where Marty Smith was moved enough by something to write a little bit of poetry. But before I do that, Billy has been demanding that the Seattle Mariners in these divisive times pick a side. Pick a side.
They need to pick a side. Stugotz, you know what's going on with the Mariners?
I have no idea.
They're retiring number 51, an iconic number for the Mariners.
Randy Johnson.
Do you know who they're retiring?
Big unit.
Yeah. Also worn by Ichiro. So what they're doing is they're retiring the number for both of them at the same time.
A double retirement. All right.
Not
let's
how
go.
that works.
Different days, though.
You have to spread those out.
No,
no,
you
no.
have to. No, you choose one. You're retiring one number 51. And by the way, it's Ichiro. Because if you're going to retire Randy Johnson, you retire that number before Ichiro got the number 51. Like, you've made the decision to not honor Randy Johnson and give the number to Ichiro, who was equally, if not more iconic than Randy Johnson in the history of the game. And now it's Ichiro's number. I'm sorry. You took it away from Randy Johnson. You gave it to Ichiro.
If I had to decide one, I'd go Randy Johnson.
Really?
I think he meant more to that organization than Ichiro. I do.
Better
I really
nickname.
do.
Better nickname for
Big
sure.
unit. Yeah.
There's only one person that meant more to that organization than Ichiro.
The kid?
That's right. No,
I
I
thought you were
mean,
going to say Big Thumper.
Jay Buhner? No, they should absolutely retire Ichiro's if it were a choice. But thankfully, like
No, it has to be a choice.
They could retire 26 and 25.
Oh my
Get
God.
out, man.
God,
That was-
oh my
that was
God.
really bad.
Like, what is that?
That's
What
math,
is-
friend.
Pour it in the cup, mix it in.
Minor penalty, 2 minutes, high sticking.
Billy had a good line yesterday that he snuck in while David Sampson was talking, calling Kevin Durant too old. Billy just said, "You signed Ichiro."
Different circumstances, granted. They signed Ichiro for like nothing.
Yes,
'cause-
but he was in his late 80s when they signed
yeah.
him.
Oh man, but he could get you one hit every 4 days. I'll
For
tell you
sure.
what.
The only other players in Mariners history to have their numbers retired are Ken Griffey Jr.
Okay.
and Edgar Martinez, of which they retired number 24 for both of them.
Oh, Mariners. Like, enough of this.
They're making a habit of
This
this.
is
huh?
They
ridiculous.
played on the same team. They didn't have the same number. Like, for most of their careers, they were teammates. That's against the rules.
Now they're just waiting around because they don't want to run out of numbers. So, like, we need 2 people good at every number, and then we'll retire said number, not honor just one. Marlins are the opposite. They have Jeff Conan. They're like, you want to wear number 18? You want to wear number 19? Let's just retire all the numbers. They don't retire them. I think in part that's why they're not retiring numbers, because they're like, Niner, pick a number, buddy.
I thought Edgar wore number 11, then Griffey came and he was wearing 24, then gave it to Griffey and took 11, right?
That's what I think happened, but I'm
Yes.
going to confirm that. for
Wait,
you.
but are you reporting that the Mariners are going to have 2 numbers retired by 4 players? Is that
That's my exclusive report.
Yeah.
So the Mariners are going to have only 2 numbers retired in the history of their franchise, but that's a riddle. But 4 players can say they've had their numbers retired after Ichiro and Randy Johnson.
That is
get
some
their numbers
incredible
retired.
baseball trivia.
The University of Miami also does something pretty confusing. They hang jerseys up in the rafters, but they're different colors. And if you're one color, you're retired. If you're another color, you're merely honored and other people can wear that number.
It is an incredible stat that they are honoring 4 people and retiring 2 numbers. It's also wrong. They retired number 11 for Edgar Martinez. They have a giant thing on their
Google
on their
AI,
promenade
man.
here.
Yeah, Google AI.
Also,
That was
42
MLB.com.
for Jackie Robinson retired by the Mariners.
Well, we'll see.
It was Tino Martinez who wore number 24.
Well, I don't think they retired Tino Martinez's number.
I'm just saying he wore the number 24.
I mean, they could do the same thing that the Lakers did with Kobe Bryant. I mean, they retired 8 and 24.
Yeah, that's excessive.
That's a lot.
But I get
yeah.
it. Well,
They could do the 26 and 25, though.
When he did that, when he decided, when he was living with us, and he's like, I'm just going to switch my numbers. I'm like, I'm on to you, pal. I know what you're going for here. Yeah. That's very selfish. You're taking 2 numbers.
Was this a scenario where Ichiro came to Seattle and he asked Randy Johnson, hey, can I wear your number? And Randy said, okay.
I think Randy Johnson was gone.
Yeah, he had been traded.
And so he didn't have a say in the matter?
The number was available.
Okay.
And they were like, yeah, we're not planning on retiring this jersey either. Who are you? There's no way you can live up to that number.
That's a whole nother thing, by the way. You want to honor Randy Johnson? Don't trade him. You decided he's not good enough for you. We're going to trade him.
But
That's not how that happened when he got traded to Houston.
Don't trade him.
Somebody help me with what I think is call one of my math friends because I think you guys got a lot of things wrong here. 23 was the number that was retired. No, or just let's go through this again because I don't think we've given accurate information. If we've retired the number of Tino Martinez, and we've got some confusion where Jeremy's sitting here saying he's got the right source. It's MLB.com, and the rest of you are accusing AI or whatever's happened to Google that all of a sudden gives you bad information.
Unless MLB.com and their editors missed a typo in which number 24 was typed twice within this article, or Daniel Kramer is a liar. In this article, it says number 24 for both of them. But Billy's right. I just looked it up. It says number 11. We're going to have to get to the bottom of what went wrong in this MLB.com article.
And I asked ChatGPT, a different type of AI, and they disagree with the Google AI.
Wow.
Rivals. Whose
It wasn't
number has
Google
been
AI.
retired? I mean, that's what Dan's trying to do.
Jackie Robinson for sure. 42.
Okay.
Yeah,
Edgar
definitely.
Martinez,
Good work,
yes,
Jackie.
but I think it's 11.
Wait a minute. I thought that recently there was some controversy that the government was trying to expunge something with Jackie Robinson. Never mind. It's not important. So I'm going to read this from Marty Smith. He has decided to give his opinion on the Amazon Earnhardt documentary.
Which rocks, by the way.
He writes the following. The race footage in the Amazon Earnhardt doc is so badass, visually incredible, a symphony of speed. It felt different back then, grittier. Maybe because it wasn't so readily available as it is now. Maybe because there was a sense to us that NASCAR gave shine to rural America, authentically Southern, something we kind of knew about all along that the rest of the world was just discovering, like we were on the leading rough edge of a new frontier. The personalities and the conflict and the refusal to back down, rivalries that didn't end with a text message apology. They lasted years, books with chapters. There was mystique about speed back then, too. We've lost that a bit. We forget drivers are gladiators. It takes a special cat to sail it off into one at 200 miles per hour with no guarantee you'll come out of turn 2. NASCAR is experiencing a rebirth right now. I watch every race and I feel the resurgence. Awesome racers, wrestling, a challenging machine. But that footage from the 90s put me in a nostalgic blender. Those motors at full song, the suspension travel and the body shapes and good wrench and DuPont and Quality Care and Kellogg's and MGD and Coors Light stopped me in my tracks. It all felt so important. Motorsports Mozart.
That was one tweet?
Singular tweet.
It was very long.
I just like to gummy up and watch some left turns, pal.
Tino, Dan, just quick correction. We're 23 for the Mariners. So if they retired 24 for Martinez and Ken Griffey Jr. and the other Martinez, it seems as though no Martinez has worn 24.
Yeah, I retract my official report and my exclusive report that they've retired only 2 numbers for 4 players. It seems as though MLB.com has let me down, Dan. Journalism's dead.
Now, Tino did wear number 24 when he played for the Yankees, I believe.
Did he have a big
That's
series
right.
against the Mariners as a Yankee? Because then maybe they retired the 24 for that. Also, 42 was retired by the Yankees, I think, for not just Jackie, but also Mariano.
Yeah.
Has a team done this before? Because I think Billy's right that you can't retire them both on the same day. I do want to put on the poll at Le Batard Show, most meaningful Mariner: Ichiro, Randy Johnson, Ken Griffey Jr., Edgar Martinez,
Jay Buhner.
Jay Buhner.
I think Big Unit only won one Cy Young with Seattle, and he ended up winning 4. So like you can make an argument.
His best years came after he left.
He's going to be more remembered for being a Diamondback because that's the team that he killed a bird with, primarily. You mentioned
Wasn't a Mariner there?
I think he was a Diamondback when he killed that bird.
I'm gonna look it up.
Look it up. Check Google AI. This is my only window to get in on this Earnhardt conversation. It's a 4-part docuseries on Prime, and it is special, and I understand how it elicits that emotion. If you watch this documentary, one thing that stands out, did you guys know that no Cup Series driver has died since Dale Earnhardt died? It changed the sport in terms of safety measures. You had the Hans device. You see spectacular crashes still. You see them fly into the stands sometimes. You see cars get airborne. And it is a wonder every time when a driver simply gets out of the car. Yeah. And you think back to what killed Dale Earnhardt, it's fairly innocuous. It doesn't look like it's a bad wreck. You see the wrecks that these guys had in the 70s, in the 80s. They definitely risked life and limb every time they got into that car. It's a miracle how safe these cars are now. And I would implore the audience to check this out because Dale Earnhardt was an uncommon badass, but he was also like super cold. And it's a story about a son looking for his father's approval. And I'm talking about Dale Earnhardt Sr. there. And that kind of just masked the entire experience that he has with Dale Jr. It is a story about a father and son relationship. It is a story about gladiator spectacle in the most dangerous possible ways. It's one of the best things I've seen in terms of sports docuseries. It was awesome. And moreover, Prime's NASCAR coverage is spectacular for doing this for the first time.
He was a D-back when he demolished a bird.
Is it weird that him and Ken Griffey Jr. both became photographers in retirement? Yeah. Like they're both just traveling the country, becoming photographers, concerts, sporting events. You just see them pop up. I don't think that the big unit does that many sporting events. I think Kent Griffey's really doing the sporting event lane. I think that big unit does more concerts and live events.
Randy Johnson is a great photographer. He takes it very seriously. Can you guys explain to me, though, how this is working? Is Ichiro getting his number retired this season,
Yes.
and then they're going to retire a number that's already retired for Randy Johnson next season?
That's exactly right. Is Ichiro's getting his number retired first this August, and then during the 2026 season is when they will retire number 51 for Randy Johnson. So they're re-retiring.
Well, that's
mad.
a heady play, though.
You're mad if you're Randy.
Well, no, you have to separate these days. It's business. That's all.
Right, but you want to go first. Like, the person who gets it first is the person who really gets it retired. Yeah.
I always think that, like, this is a morbid thought, but I always think when they do stuff like that, like when they're picking the order of when they're going to retire and honor people, like part of it, especially the elderly, you have to think, like, who's going to live the longest here, right? Like, that has to go into the thinking, which, again, morbid thought. But I did think, Shaq McKeon's being honored by the Marlins this year, but he's being honored like third. Why don't we move that up to be first earlier in the season? Because you never know.
I would have gone Randy Johnson first.
You know, I've actually thought about this a lot, of one number being retired for 2 players. And the answer might shock you as to the team that I always think this about.
What?
It's the Florida Panthers.
Yeah.
The number 10.
Oh.
Pavel Bure and Jonathan Huberdeau.
Yeah.
I think both on merit. Certainly Huberdeau deserves to have his jersey retired down here by the Florida Panthers.
Everyone's talking about it.
But Pavel Bure also, I'm very puzzled as to why he didn't get his jersey retired. Maybe what's going on over there? Pavel deserves it, and you could have the number 10 retired for both Pavel and Huberdeau.
Why NASCAR, they don't retire numbers, obviously, because they need to constantly doing things. But you would have thought the Intimidator, number 3, would be retired, huh? But no.
You would have thought, and when he first died, Richard Childress said, no one's ever driving the number 3 ever again. Harvick came in the 29, and now Austin Dillon drives the number 3 because of merchandise sales.
Yeah.
It's huge business.
I have a list of MLB teams that have retired multiple numbers for players.
Is it accurate?
This is going to be the 8th time.
The Yankees
this is
have
according
done it,
to
right?
Alex Mayer. There are 2 that are technically sort of an asterisk because when you look at the Yankees and the Cardinals, they have Mariano Rivera and Bruce Sutter retired respectively for number 42.
Yeah,
And that's
Steve
with
Martin,
Jackie
of course.
Robinson. But otherwise, the Athletics have Raleigh Fingers and Dave Stewart for number 34. The Yankees have Bill Dickey and Yogi Berra for number 8. Washington/Montreal has Rusty Staub and Andre Dawson for number 10. Cincinnati has Willard Hirschberger and Johnny Bench for number 5. Fergie Jenkins and Greg Maddux in Chicago with number 31. And now the Mariners, number 51, Ichiro and Randy Johnson.
Huberdeau also wore number 11, so I'm going to lay off of that strain.
Great hockey name.
Can I propose a rule change for retiring
wait a
numbers?
minute. That mistake. Hold on a second. Let
That
me
was
get
bad.
him
I'll
out
hold
of
the
here.
umbrella.
Let me just get him out of here. Like, what is he
Just
doing?
gets in the way.
I mean, come on.
Did the whole thing.
Penalty, 2
Come
minutes.
on.
Stumbling.
I think of this all the time. I've given this a lot of thought. Never mind. Huberdeau, I've got the wrong number.
Well, he wore number 11 like Edgar Martinez.
Now they can
Yeah.
retire 10 and 11.
Yeah,
Problem
perfect.
solved.
And 21.
Dave Stewart's from another time, man.
Yeah,
Like,
he is.
all those names you just rattled off, the one name I thought of was Stu. That guy, he would give you 9 innings, whether he had his A stuff or his C stuff.
That's right. But I mean, Dave Stewart is the one that you thought
Oh.
was old when he said Yogi Berra.
I don't know.
That's an intimidator right
Just
there.
brought me back to another time. That's all.
Can I propose a rule change for retired numbers?
Yes.
So we now have a phenomenon where people are having their numbers like unretired, or they're granting the ability for their retired number for other players to use said number, right?
Yep.
So like recently we had it with Warren Moon. We had the conversation with Phil Simms. It didn't end up happening.
Right.
I think that if you grant the player the ability to use your number and their career is not retirement number worthy, your number is no longer retired. Wow. It's active unless it's deactivated.
Puts the pressure on you to only give it up for the good people.
Exactly right. Then you're
Right.
not wasting that honor.
Were you afraid to say re-retired? Were you afraid to say re-retired instead of re-deactivated?
No, I don't know.
So if Phil Simms gives his number to a player that has a terrible career, Simms loses his retired number?
Correct. It's no
Really?
longer retired. In fact, as soon as someone else is wearing it, you have to take it down off of, the wall or whatever it's on.
But what if the guy has a better career than you had? You should get some sort of prize for that, right?
I think maybe you could leave the name up, but the number comes down. So Phil Simms' name can be up there, but the number is no longer there.
Okay.
Yeah.
There were a couple of things I wanted to either correct or clarify that has been said here over the last 10 minutes of unbearable sloppiness. Pavel Bure, one of the reasons that his number is not retired here, I don't believe he won a single playoff game while he was in Florida. Not one.
That's
I think
right.
they got there a couple times and got swept both times.
By the Islanders, right? Like every time?
You mentioned
was more recent.
Andre Dawson. We skipped
Hawk.
right past yesterday the fact that David Sampson said he went to a black church and dressed like Andre Dawson, which and tried to look like Andre Dawson, which demanded follow-up questions that we did not ask. But I saw something yesterday, and I don't think it can be accurate. It was Rick Sutcliffe telling a story about Greg Maddux and Andre Dawson. Greg Maddux and Andre Dawson were on the same team. Andre Dawson was hit by Eric Shao in the face with a pitch.
Wow. These names.
Eric Shao hit Andre Dawson in the face with a pitch. Andre Dawson, classy, just unbelievably distinguished as a player. One of the coolest things ever done by an athlete of any kind was before he went to Chicago. He was being colluded against. He told the Chicago Cubs, just pay me whatever you want. It's a blank check, not a black check. A blank check. And then for $500,000, he went out and won the MVP of the league. But the way that
An MVP he didn't deserve.
It's in Stugotz's book.
It is.
Stugottsbook.com.
Yeah.
Is that still active?
Yeah. Andre wrote in the book. He did. He said I was an ass.
Stugottsbook.com is allegedly still active.
It is. I can confirm
Yeah.
that. Also confirmed Pavel Bure 0 for 4 in the playoffs as a Panther.
Wow.
So Rick Sutcliffe told the story of, and you tell me whether this can possibly be true, because he said he was getting goosebumps while telling the story, that Greg Maddux was told before the game that if he won the game, he wouldn't have to go to the minor leagues. It was the very beginning of his career.
Right.
All he had to do was win the game, and he wouldn't go back to the minor leagues. And he had 3 more outs to get in order for them to have the lead after 5 innings so that he could get the win. And Sutcliffe says he said to Greg Maddux, do not go out there and retaliate by hitting any of their players. Go out there, get the 3 outs, stay in the major leagues, and then hit someone the next inning. And Maddux is like, tears in his eyes. No, absolutely not. I have to hit the next batter. And then he hit Benito Santiago, the guy with the most impeccable control, hits Benito Santiago. And then Rick Sutcliffe says he was sent back to the minor leagues. And the reason I don't believe the story is because I don't think they would just tell Greg Maddux, put the pressure on a pitcher in a game to say, you either win this game or you're going back to the minor leagues.
It's so outdated, too.
Talk about everything on the line.
Like win being a pitcher stat. Like, that's wild.
Right. I just don't believe that the story's true, but Rick Sutcliffe is telling it as it's true.
And what if they gave up the lead and he gets a no decision? What happens then?
Yes.
That's the way that they told the story, and it was honorable and wonderful, and also, I believe, an outright lie.
I'm with you. I just don't imagine that's how things go in the big leagues. Hey, win this game and you stay, lose it, and we're sending you back down.
Greg Maddox's first appearance in Major League came as a pinch runner.
Huh.
A extraneous fact that doesn't help me at all, but thank you.
Oh.
I miss pitchers pinch running. Yeah. That was a thing.
Put it on the poll at Le Batard Show. Do you miss pitchers pinch running?
I'm going to text Tim about that.
Bartolo Colon.
Well, how about, do you remember what they used to do when they pinch ran? Because they'd come out and give them
Jackets.
a jacket.
Oh, yeah,
Jackets.
you needed a jacket.
No,
Good
old days.
You got to get the arm warm.
Yeah, that was when they were pitching. Yeah.
Well, they would put it on one arm?
Not pitch running. Not
Sports
pitch running.
was
One arm.
sports.
Yes.
All the pinch runners,
They just get in the way.
Except Dave Stewart. Never wanted the jacket. I mean,
It wasn't just a jacket on one arm. They weren't running with
No, they've done that. I've seen that move. I have seen
Not
the jacket.
while pinch running. Not while pinch running.
Okay, maybe not.
You remember what Randy Johnson would look like after he pitched? With that huge ace bandage wrap thing and that ice pack.
No,
it was
it'd
like
be- it'd
me
be a
after
whole-
a Trish Stratus photo shoot.
It'd be a whole ice machine. He'd have one of those
Yes.
hotel ice machines
his
on
last
his left arm.
his last 3 seasons with the Mariners, he was 43-6.
He was pretty good.
Guess how many innings Greg Maddux pitched in his first start of his career?
5.
Complete game. Duh. Maddux. Mad Dog.
Mentioning the Earnhardt documentary, I've been pounding that Untold series quite a bit because they're making some bad stuff. But the Shooting Guards series, or the Shooting Guards movie about Gilbert Arenas and Javaris Crittenton, was really well done. There was a lot of stuff in there that I did not know, even though Gilbert Arenas has spent a lot of time talking about this story. And what was also really interesting to watch that I did not know is how it is that a power dynamic can become hugely problematic when you have a guy who's a jokester sharing a locker room with a guy who identifies as a gangster. And now that disrespect is in play, and you get guys in the locker room carrying guns all of a sudden because the jokester is the one in power. And he's pushing Crittenton to, you say you're going to shoot me? Prove it. And Gilbert's got all the power. He's the jokester, and he brings guns into the locker room and puts them in front of his locker. And Crittenton's like, what do I need your guns for? I have my own. And now you've just got a situation where someone who's a prankster and always fooling around has landed on the wrong side of somebody who doesn't abide disrespect that way. And it was just interesting to see the parallel stories because they got Crittenton when he's come out of jail or come out of prison after serving time. And you've got Gilbert saying, among other things, yeah, I ruined that dude's life because of the decisions that I made. Gilbert has always been a really interesting personality, and what he's doing with his podcast and his media career is not merely ambitious, it has a ton of really hard work in it. Not everyone in the podcast game is working as hard as Gilbert Arenas is working to make sure that he can stay competitive in that game.
He had a clip recently about Karl Anthony Towns
Awful.
that I did not enjoy listening
Horrendous.
to. He sounded pretty terrible.
It was a really, really, really bad and critical take in a way that should not be a criticism hurled at an NBA player.
Well, this is the lane that Gilbert's willing to take that not a lot of former players are willing to take, and there is value in being able. Look, if the guy's willing to come into a locker room with a golden gun, the other part of that story that I did not know is that Gilbert was saying he was not suspended for either the guns in the locker room or what I thought he was suspended for, which is after the league cracked down on him, that David Stern was mad because during an on-court celebration, he's doing finger guns in the huddle when he's swirling in controversy. But he wasn't suspended for that either. He's like, no, I was suspended because they knew I was trafficking guns all over the place. I had on team planes, I had 400 some odd guns in my house, and I'm an NBA player who was trafficking guns on team flights. That's why I was suspended for 50 games. That's not something that I knew. So I would recommend that series because that started so strong. Untold started with like 6 or 8 fantastic stories that were told better than I had seen them told. And then I don't know what happened, but they became more and more diluted. This one is worth your time, though. If you want to cover subject matter on a Wizards team nobody cared about except for this story.
The last 3 years of Panthers postseason runs have really cut into my television watching.
Yeah.
I have to be very judicious, although I'm an episode away from finishing the studio and an episode away from finishing the rehearsal, and those are 2 great things.
They're excellent, both of those shows. Nathan Fielder, I would argue, is doing not only stuff in television that hasn't been done before, but he is pushing really the envelope on awkward in comedy in a way that most comedians are not brave enough to do, where he will make a CNN appearance on, with Wolf Blitzer, and he's just actively trying to make things uncomfortable for people. And I will say, when I describe the rehearsal as some of the most ambitious television that I've ever seen in my life, I cannot believe the degree of difficulty on what it is that he's trying to accomplish with that show, what the budget for it is, and what his motivation for it is, which is to make meaningful change in the airline industry that is important. And he went to such lengths to do this, including becoming a professional flyer, that there's literally never been a comedian like this.
Crew members to complete interpersonal communication training, and it says it isn't seeing the data that supports the show's central claim that pilot communications is to blame for airline disasters.
Well,
so I want to get you to respond to that, obviously.
That's dumb. They're dumb. And here's the issue, is that they do, like, I trained to be a pilot, and I'm a 737 pilot. I went through the training. The training is someone shows you a PowerPoint slide saying, if you are a co-pilot and the captain does something wrong, you need to speak up about it. That's all. That's the training. And they talk about some crashes that happened, but they don't do anything that makes it stick emotionally.
One of the things, that was not a clip that had the awkward in it, but he was pushing on Wolf Blitzer, and he was talking about the specifics of co-pilots are afraid sometimes to speak up in a power structure to pilots who have all the power and might be in some trouble during a flight. And it leads, like he's proving empirically, doing research that most aren't doing, and traveling around the country with a guy who's kind of boring but is an expert as a former aviation person who's telling people that Nathan Fielder has to be listened to. But he kept saying to Wolf Blitzer's co-host, and I'm not familiar with this show, so I don't know her name, forgive me for that. He keeps saying some form of, wouldn't you be afraid to speak up to Wolf Blitzer given the power dynamic that there is in your relationship and the imbalances in your relationship?
The issue that we talk about in the show is people not wanting to share their feelings with each other, co-pilots, because one might be of more experience than the other, so they might know the thing that will save a plane from crashing, but they might not want to communicate it.
Nathan,
so I assume between you two,
we like each other and we talk to each other.
But there's things you probably don't share too. So that's a good way of the audience understanding the dynamic, probably, right?
Really, he should be the captain, is what you're saying. That's really what you're saying.
Did you watch the show? But I mean, it's like a human thing. You know what I mean? Like, there's definitely stuff, I'm sure you guys, like you brought up the analogy, but like, I'm sure, Pamela, you don't say some things to Wolf, or, because you're between you two, who would be like the boss or the more, like you're Wolf Blitzer, right? So you're like, your name is first on the thing. So I'm sure, Pamela, at times you might not want to say, you know, oh, Wolf wants to do something, you don't think it's a good idea. You might not want to express that always.
She's very
We
blunt.
actually have a pretty. I understand your
But
point.
you have to say that now.
No.
I know, but you don't want to
I
say
think
to
they're
Wolf,
pretty
you can't, you know, as a journalist, you
Because
don't want to
Wolf
say,
is-
oh, I don't want to.
She says that.
She says it to you.
Yeah.
So maybe you're afraid to say
Here's the
something.
great thing
to
about
her.
Wolf is
I'm
he
very
doesn't have
blunt
an
with her,
ego.
too.
Okay.
He has no ego, but I take your point that like
I mean, Wolf's in movies and stuff.
he's a big deal.
He's
There
Mission
is
Impossible.
there is no question.
So that's intimidating. That can be intimidating.
that can be intimidating.
That's sort of the thing we're trying to explore.
Wolf hated that.
No, I think he loved it.
Hated it.
I mean, the comparisons to Andy Kaufman are obvious. It was easier in Andy Kaufman's day to get away with stuff like this because social media is just plays such active defense. There have been two people since Andy Kaufman that pushed the boundaries of comedy, pushed the boundaries of awkward, pushed the boundaries of ambition, and honestly, danger when it comes to comedy. It's Sacha Baron Cohen and Nathan Fielder.
And Sam Morril.
Norm Macdonald would like a word.
Norm Macdonald, he
loved the awkward.
He wasn't putting himself in danger. Right. The way that Sacha Baron Cohen does routinely. And I do know, like, I had read an article that shortly after Nathan For You, Sacha Baron Cohen and Nathan For You and Nathan Fielder collaborated on stuff, and they talked this out because they're one and the same. I love what Nathan Fielder does. It's a part of his act that he figured out 8 years ago on Nathan For You is like, let me juxtapose my act with an old normal person. Yeah. And just have them be stoic and play off of my eccentricities. And it's comedy gold every time. It is visually funny, and it makes his comedy work better. And the other person doesn't have to say a single thing. His mind works differently.
Stugotz, I don't think you understand, not having seen it, or most people understand how difficult it would be to get this as an idea, a script in front of people in the present Hollywood right now that is rejecting everything because it's like 4 entities are making and investing in movies. To put this in front of people and get it made at the budget, I can't even imagine what that paperwork looked like. You have to trust Nathan Fielder to be exceptional at things in order to execute what we're talking about here, because on paper, this idea simply can't work.
I think that he's been in interviews and he's said that he was greenlit for a second season without even an idea. Yeah. So they trusted him so much that he didn't even give this to them. They were just like, okay, here's your next season and here's your budget to go figure it out. What if we're underthinking this a little bit? What if Nathan just wanted to be a pilot?
I like it.
And he said, you know what? How do I get someone to pay for my 737 lessons? And then he wrote a show around the premise where he was going to be a pilot. And then he started figuring things out. But really the starting point was, how do I get someone to send me to pilot school?
I like it. Yeah.
You know what I think the most dangerous thing he did in this entire season was?
Fly a plane full of people.
No. Actually not. It was Bite the Hand That Feeds Him with Paramount. He has a show, a scripted show with an Academy Award winner in Emma Stone. He has his entire Nathan
Which is
For
also
You.
great, by the way.
Yeah.
The Curse is a great television show.
He has his entire Nathan For You catalog on Paramount Plus, and he is identifying where Paramount Plus kowtows to sensitivities and anti-Semitism, and he does it by recreating an old Nazi HQ that he turned into the Paramount Plus headquarters. It was insane, and a lot of people would probably advise him, if you want to work in this town, if you want to keep getting stuff made, you can't be cutting off Viacom Paramount.
Nazis are having a moment, though.
They are, in your defense.
Not my defense.
Jon Stewart tells this great story of, I don't know, would it have been Peacock? Who was it at the beginning? They tried on one of the early evolutions of one of Jon Stewart's early shows to have Dave Attell come on as Hitler, as a guest on a talk show, eating a bagel. and they did a first episode, and Jon Stewart gets back to his office, and it's just an executive screaming, "That will never air. Nothing you're doing here will ever air." And Jon Stewart just realized, oh, okay, this show is going to fail immediately.
Only for him to ultimately be called by his non-stage name by the future president to sort of shout to people, "Hey, he's a Jew." He could do the skit.
Why do people like Nazi jokes? I don't really
They seem
get
not
it.
worth it. They seem not
It
worth
just
it.
seems not super funny.
I cannot see why people would make those jokes.
It seems not worth it. Thank you. 10 minutes.
Minor penalty, 2 minutes, high sticking.
I saw another good documentary I would recommend on Max.
All this time.
Implosion, the story of the submersible. They finally got to the details that people were wondering about, that this is well reported, well researched. They talked to the widow of the man and the son who died in the submersible. They take you into the submersible in a way that would make you think, why would anyone ever get in this thing for any reason?
Right.
For any reason, because the claustrophobia of that thing, to be sent to the bottom of the ocean to go check out the Titanic. If you want those details that we were obsessed about at the time, they're all here. They're all here in one place, and they've done a good job sort of taking you through what all of that was and the lack of ethics in sort of having a business around invention, experimentation, and discovery.
Just back to the pilot thing for a second. I don't like this rank that's going on inside of an airplane, inside of a cockpit, right? If the co-pilot, if my plane is going down and the co-pilot has the answers to fix the problem, then please fix the problem, okay? Don't be intimidated by the captain. I cannot believe there is ego inside of an airplane. I can't believe it.
Thanks for getting around to that. We appreciate your hard
serious.
work.
What is going on? Where a co-pilot's not going to say anything because he's afraid to upstage the captain. Who
Had
cares?
to be said. Had to be said. Thank you.
What are we doing?
Right? That's right.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
That's good coverage of the rehearsal for someone who hasn't seen it.
Outrage.
Talk more.
If you could save me, please.
Mm-hmm.
The funny thing is, though, is that the pushback that he's run into is they're like, nah.
That's correct.
Which is, I think, the official government statement is like, nah.
Yeah, the government statement.
got this.
The government statement is we don't need to look into this.
Now all over social media is just pictures from airports of pilots not talking to each other. Just standing 10 feet apart. Say hello. How's your day? A little small talk.
I'd prefer they get along.
I literally, though, had never considered how awkward it must be for just two dudes who aren't in the mood at 5 a.m. to have coffee breath and not want to talk to each other. Jessica negotiated a very difficult deal in order to get to New York and have in her contract something that said that at any time that we were talking about aviation, she gets an alert and gets to just drop into the show and talk about aviation as our aviation expert and the one who just is fascinated by flying, is tracking flights in her spare time, and must be, I would assume, fascinated by the show we were just talking about with Nathan Fielder. Mike is right that the awkward comedians, it's Ali G, it's Norm Macdonald, it's Andy Kaufman, but Nathan Fielder wants to take his place among the all-time greats with awkward because what he's doing, the curse is also great. I'm telling you, it's not just the rehearsal that's great on Max. I just can't believe the freedom this guy's getting. So, Jessica, thank you. It's nice to see you again. I want all of your thoughts on the rehearsal because I'm assuming you're just fascinated by all things Nathan Fielder. And I just can't believe he's using his comedy this way to actually affect change. He's going to actually do good with what his show is attempting to do. Nice to see you.
Hi, Dan. I want to talk about the rehearsal, but first I have to say, I also like Gilbert Arenas' podcast, and who cares what that broad's name is on Wolf Blitzer's show?
It was Pamela Brown, incidentally, on
Yes.
the Situation Room. I wish I had known her name. Thank you for that correction. We missed that correction.
You picked one of the worst days to praise Gilbert Arenas
Yeah,
and his content ventures.
You know what? I was not even aware. I was not even
No,
aware.
it was.
we figured that out.
We were
yes.
hoping.
We absolutely knew that. I had no idea what that said.
aware.
Zero idea.
In a coconut cup,
I was
mix
aware,
it up.
but
Yeah, know your teammates.
If you were aware and went there, that would have been wild.
Yes.
Crazy.
Don't admit if you were aware,
Absolutely
don't admit it.
insane.
I'm still not aware of what he said, though I can guess.
good boy, good answer. Yeah.
Yep.
I can guess from your
Hey,
reaction.
let's
Played
not
it that way,
Let's
Dan.
probably
Yeah.
not guess out loud.
Don't
There
guess,
was nothing
but-
wrong with it. It was fine.
The rehearsal finale, well, not just the finale. I don't want to talk about just the finale, but what are your thoughts in general of this series? And did you even, when you first checked out the rehearsal, because this is an acquired taste, you got to give it some time. If you're not just going to believe the word of mouth, you're going to have to give the stuff a minute in order to sort of absorb what he's trying to do.
Yeah, so when I first saw the first episode of season 2, I was like, ooh, I don't know if I'm going to like this because he was reenacting commercial airline crashes, which is something that obviously myself and I feel like every person is terrified of. And so I was like, maybe this isn't the best show to watch if I'm like a little squeamish around flying. But then I sort of forced myself to keep watching. And then by the episode that Mike was talking about with the Paramount Germany recreation, I was laughing so hard at his entire bit with Paramount Germany and one of his Nathan For You episodes getting censored from Paramount Plus. And then there was and the next episode, which was even more insane, where he recreated the life of Sully, the famous airline pilot portrayed by Tom Hanks in the movie Sully, who landed a plane on the Hudson, the Miracle on the Hudson, not to be confused with the Miracle on the Mojave, which happened in the finale. But I was just like, I could not believe what I was watching. And then obviously it's not Spoiler Wednesday, but the show came out over a week and a half ago now, and you already played the CNN clip, so I feel like I can spoil this. In the finale, you find out that he's actually been training to be a pilot for the last 2 years. And they show him, all of a sudden he's in a plane flying around California, and he wants to fly a 737. He starts going to scrapyards looking for abandoned 737s to fly passengers on a plane so he can act out this like pilot communication bit that he's been talking about through the season. And I don't know, it just like was one of those television series that after I watched it, I was so blown away by the extent to which he went to complete the payoff of this bit. Because you're like, the whole time you're like, why does he care about this? Like, he's very interested in like airline crashes, whatever. But then by the end, you're like, what? This whole thing was a setup to find out that he actually flew a plane in the finale of this show.
Well, not just flew a plane, but then like in the credits, he's like, oh, and by the way, I also took a part-time job where I transport planes in South America from one country to another. It's like, wait, why are you still doing this?
Yes, I read an interview with him and an aviation reporter where the guy was like, so do you still transport 737s? And he was like, yeah, occasionally they'll text me and be like, can you be in China on this day? We need to get this plane across the ocean. And he'll go and it's him and one other person. It's an empty plane and like transport these huge 737s.
Do they talk?
It's absolutely bonkers.
Do they talk, him and his co-pilot?
They show clips of him talking in the cockpit. So I think he is practicing what he preaches.
Again,
probably.
though, I want you to imagine the flight that Tom Hanks was on that crashed in Castaway. Nathan Fielder was just in his spare time, not for fun, because it's interesting to him, and not because of content, was just taking planes that needed to get over to Brazil and flying with one other person in the middle of the night through dark rainforest just to land somewhere at 2 a.m., get off, stay in the hotel, and then get back because that flight needed moving. It's just insane what he was doing.
It's so much time commitment too. I was talking to one of my friends who's trying to become a pilot this past weekend, and he's flown for the last 5 or 6 years on top of, doing another job. And he still has over 1,000 hours he needs to complete before he's eligible to be hired by a commercial airline. It's just a massive time commitment. And obviously, when you're learning and when you eventually get to fly on your own, the stakes are enormous. Like, there were so many people on the Rehearsal subreddit that I was reading that were like, well, on the bright side, like when the finale aired, at least we all knew he survived, because we probably would have heard about it if he had randomly died in a plane crash in the last 2 years. There would have been a news story about it. So I guess we kind of knew the ending would be a happy one, but still, it's just absolutely crazy. There was also some people, you can research the FAA database. It's public of who's registered to fly, I guess. And so fans of his had found that there was a pilot named Nathan Fielder who had gotten his license at some point. So there were some hints along the way that people were sort of onto this whole scheme, but I don't think anyone really expected the payoff to be what it was. And on top of that, it's really not a spoiler, because the funny parts of the show are just the comedic bits, not necessarily the narrative of the season. So if you can get from Albert Einstein Wet Dreams to the Miracle over the Mojave on CNN, there's so many laughs in between there. You can't really spoil any of it.
Stugotz, I don't know if you remember this, and you guys will have to tell me what the fallout was from this, because there were all sorts of things that would happen at ESPN where we'd get in trouble, but I wouldn't quite learn how much trouble we were in. But I remember saying one time, after Stan Van Gundy, they were trying to change their halftime show again, and they were about to hire Stan Van Gundy, and it appeared that David Stern stepped in and didn't allow ESPN to do it. And Stan Van Gundy on ESPN's air was ripping ESPN, saying you have to have no guts whatsoever to pay someone else hundreds of millions of dollars and then let them make all your decisions for you. And I said at the time that that's as close as I will ever come to being Jason Statham walking away in slow motion from an explosion, seeing on ESPN someone criticize ESPN. She brought up what Nathan Fielder did to Paramount. When I think of people who criticize their employers on their employer's air, I think of David Letterman. I think of John Oliver. I think of Nathan Fielder.
Howard Stern.
Can you give
Shipping
me
container.
some other examples of
Dan.
people that you think of when you think of somebody going after their employer on their employer's air? Letterman is the one that I think of it most on, because he would do it more than anybody in a way that was just super confusing to me in the 80s and 90s. John Oliver does it now. Is there anyone else who routinely goes after their employer, has the power, the courage, and the employment strength to criticize their employer on their employer's air?
Is Sampson my employer?
Pat McAfee?
Yeah.
Oh, McAfee's a good one. Yes.
Yeah, McAfee.
I can't think of a single woman who would ever do that, by the way, because they're too chicken shit. Anyways. I am surprised that HBO's lawyers were cool with all of that, because I have friends that have worked on HBO shows, and everything that they air obviously has to go through lawyer scrutiny. And so the fact that they were just yeah, this is fine. You can slander one of our competitors. And it's a satire, obviously. I think you can get away with a lot under the guise of comedy. But it just surprised me, that and the fact that there were 150 passengers flown in the Miracle over the Mojave. It's just wow, they get away with a lot with those lawyers.
I went on Paramount Plus the next day because I'm oh, surely, with this backlash, that episode will reappear. And it still wasn't there. I think that they're just, sticking firm, and they're not undoing that decision. And then I went and I saw, on Max, it was there. So, there's a lot. You could see the episode on any of the other streaming services, just not on Paramount.
Can we play for Jessica? I don't know. Did you see the entire CNN interview? Let's play Nathan Fielder talking about the miracle over the Mojave with Wolf Blitzer and Pamela Brown.
There you go.
That's what, I was hoping to demonstrate with the miracle over the Mojave, which is the flight that I flew in the show to show communication between pilots, that people can see that two pilots trying their best to communicate, it's still a struggle. And fortunately, in that flight, nothing else critical happened. So I think when the communication lines up with a real potential emergency, that's when it could make all the difference. And so, fortunately, I landed the plane safely and saved 150 lives that day. And so I think the hope is that the FAA will look at this stuff and the miracle over the Mojave and be like, yeah.
Dude right next to him just frozen. Yeah. Just visually funny.
No, he's been dragging that guy all over the country.
Everywhere.
That guy is deadpan, but he's the real expert here, right? And
yes.
So he's giving him real voice, real power. He's getting him heard. It really is genius to watch the platform used this way. I can't believe he's making all of this entertaining. It's hard to make this entertaining.
That's the most ambitious part about all of this. What he's tackling individually, like there's so many different ambitious parts of this. Getting greenlit without providing proof of what he was going to talk about, tackling this communication issue. But for me, I think the most audacious part about all of it is, let me try to make all of this funny, which is really ambitious. And the fact that he nails it, too, is terrific. I have a bit of a left turn here on something I want to talk about with Jess, and I'm curious, are you familiar with what's going on right now with the WTA and the French Open and the matches being scheduled? There's a controversy because, for those in the audience that aren't aware of it, since 2021, there have been 51 night sessions in the French Open at Roland Garros, and only 4 of those night sessions have featured women prominently in these night sessions. In fact, last year featured 0 women in the night sessions, and this is obviously a huge spotlight to help the WTA get superstars going. Amelie Mauresmo is the tournament director, and she leans on the scheduling practices, protecting the players' health. There have been some questions as to whether or not that's fair to the competitors if these matches go late in the night. But there is a really unfair imbalance. I mean, we're not even talking about equality here. We're talking about just the occasional spotlight to showcase your superstars that they are not getting. It's a tricky spot for Amelie Mauresmo, and I'm curious just where you side on this.
I probably side where you would expect. It's also, the excuse is always like, well, the men's matches are longer and it's hard to, know when they're going to end sometimes if you have a match scheduled after that. It seems like the other majors, though, Mike, have figured it out. Like the U.S. Open is able to schedule night matches for the women, if I'm not mistaken. So
yes,
yeah,
this is a Roland Garros problem.
Right. And also, like, the reason the women play fewer sets in the majors is because of, kind of frivolous, stupid reasons, too. It's not like anyone's asking for less tennis, but I don't know. Yeah, it's I mean, figure it out. It's stupid. But the only ways that these things change is more and more pressure being put on these institutions to just do what is not only the popular thing, but the right thing.
You also need star power, but you work against your own interests because you can't develop the star power if they're not getting these showcases to occasionally do it.
There's tons of star power in this women's in the women's semifinals right now. Coco Gauff obviously is the last American who's left on either the men's or the women's side. Sabalenka and Swiatek is a huge match. I mean, Sabalenka is just an absolute. She's so
Dude,
good.
They're having
strong.
a hell of a match right now.
Yes.
A hell of a match.
Well, when the segment ends, I can go watch it. But anyways, yeah, it's right now I'm just watching Willow lay on her back behind my setup.
Did she miss us? Did she miss us?
I heard there was another dog in the studio last week.
What happened with that?
It's Ethan's dog.
Yeah.
Not nearly
You
as
never want to be
cute.
the dog after the dog.
There are
saying.
there are certain words,
was a good
certain
tweet.
phrases that get Stugotz to stir. There aren't many of them. Roland Garros
The red clay.
is something that I see. I see a fire go off in my partner that springs to life whenever it is Roland Garros. It's not even the French Open. It's just Roland Garros does something to him.
It's perfect. And we have such a great men's semifinal and women's semifinal. Like the matches, the competitors left at the French Open. I got to tell you something. I mock the French Open all the time because it seems like a different major. In fact, I have said that it shouldn't be a major. But when you have chalk get through to the semifinals at Roland Garros on the red clay, you have yourself a tournament, Dan. That's what we have. We have Alcaraz, we have Djokovic, we have Sinner. I mean, what a final we're going to have both on the men's side and the women's side. It's going to be fantastic. A great weekend of tennis. I love Roland Garros.
If you had to rank these shows, you got to rank these from bottom to top, Jessica. I'm going to give you 4 shows here that most of us are watching. The Rehearsal, The Studio, Hacks, and Gemstones. If you have to rank those 4, 3, 2, 1, how would you rank those?
That's difficult because Gemstones just ended. The series finale came out like a month ago. I love Gemstones. I think Danny McBride is so funny, and man, it's such a funny show. They're satirizing, Christian megachurches in the South. So it's sort of right up my alley a little bit. I love Gemstones. Hacks, I really, really like, but I didn't really love the season finale of the last season that just finished a few nights ago. I thought it was just ended on a strange note. I thought the episode before would have probably been a better finale. The Studio is great. Very, very good show by Seth Rogen. And again, I'm like, man, I think Seth Rogen's so funny. No wonder when I was a child, Pineapple Express was my favorite movie because it's just Seth Rogen and Danny McBride.
Let's rank them.
You gonna rank these things
Yeah, I
or
mean,
what?
what
Or-
is it?
Acceptance speech
But
for
I know
every
what she's
show.
doing. She's thinking about it and she's filling time.
I think you're doing great, Jess.
You think they're
Just
nominated
keep going
for
along. I
Peabody.
think you're doing a really great job.
This is an
Studio's
acceptance
only had
speech.
one season.
Thanks, Sal
Jeff.
Saperstein.
No, I appreciate
you for
having
coming on. That's
details. Thank you for the details.
That's a good callback, Mike. I'll put Gemstones 1, Rehearsal 2.
Thank you.
Rehearsal 2.
You got to start with 4. 4, 3, 2, 1. Is 1 the new 4?
Thank you, Sal Saperstein.
I don't even know what she did there. She
Give me a 5th show and I'll make it a top 5 list.
Good idea.
And then
All
pour
right.
it in a
But we know
coconut.
number 1. Mix it up.
Love Island.
Okay, 5 Love Island. I'll say 4 Hacks.
Mike Schur is going to be on with us in a moment. We'll give him all
I
your
love Mike
criticisms.
Schur. I like. Well, can I stay on for Mike Schur?
I like him.
Does he have anything to say about the Women's College World Series? Because I do.
He's
have
hot
some.
on that.
Number 3.
The Studio.
Number 2.
Rehearsal.
Just end it. I mean,
Gemstones is
I
number
love
1.
Gemstones.
The Women's College World Series, you were saying.
It has been electric. I'm not the biggest softball fan in the world, and I barely understand the rules. It's not a sport that I ever played, but I've been watching over the last few weeks, and it's been so good. Oklahoma, who's like one of the biggest sports dynasties in the world, Oklahoma softball, they lost to Texas Tech in the semifinal, and now Texas Tech's playing Texas for the national championship. And Texas Tech, if you haven't been paying attention, that's okay. They have a player who transferred from Stanford, Nyjah Kennedy, who got over $1 million to transfer to Texas Tech. It is a huge NIL deal. Texas Tech, if you're paying attention to the college football space, you probably know this, but they have a pretty big-time NIL collective there now. They have a big football transfer class coming. I'm sure Mike's all over it. But softball, they've never won a softball national championship either as Texas. So whoever wins this series is going to be the first for them. But obviously they knocked off the Giants in Oklahoma. So now they are playing against Texas. The first game was Wednesday night. Texas won off of a hit, off of an intentional walk. Absolutely crazy scene. It was just I guess a badly executed intentional walk. But crazy win for Texas, the best of 3 series, so it may go to 3 games if Texas Tech can win the next game. But it's been so much fun. The game in which Texas Tech beat Oklahoma was also electric. Oklahoma scored a tying 2 runs off a hit to tie it late in the 7th, and Texas Tech came back on a walk-off run and got it, and it was just so much. Oh, Dan, it's been so good. And this is the time of year where we've got WNBA, we've got softball, and then every 7 days we have an NBA Finals game. So there's just tons of time for sports right now, and I am loving it.
Dan, you know what Roland Garros is all about? It's about Lorenzo Musetti. That's what it's all. A guy who will never make a semifinal on any other major, but on the red clay at Roland Garros, boom, there he is, taking on Alcaraz.
Lately, over the last few months, he cometh.
Yes.
And it also helps. That dude, hot as shit.
Hottie.
Hot.
Oh.
Holy cow.
Can you please look up for me, Jeremy? I'm having a hard time remembering who the player was in baseball who got a hit on what was intended
Miguel Cabrera.
as an intentional walk.
Miguel Cabrera.
Wasn't it against the Marlins?
Yeah, no, it was with
Against
the Marlins.
the Orioles, right up the middle.
Was he the only one to do it?
That I can remember.
I think Vlad may have swung at one.
I think Vlad Guerrero was.
Or
the
did he
player.
hit one that bounced?
No, he hit a ball that he hit a double on a pitch that bounced. Yes, yes, because he was.
Don't make him like that anymore, do they?
A crazy
Musetti?
bad ball hitter, but I think you might have that right on Cabrera though. It might not. It might not be Miguel Cabrera.
No, it
was
absolutely.
1,000%.
Most definitely was.
That's a core memory.
Extra innings,
Miguel
Hanley Ramirez
Cabrera.
scored.
You know where you were.
Core memory, Miguel Cabrera swinging at a pitch out.
I don't remember where I was.
You don't? You just claimed it? You claimed that you
Do remember it, though.
Musetti was in the Wimbledon final last year.
I also remember his game-winning home run against the Rays in the Bermuda Triangle.
First at bat.
Miguel
yeah,
Cabrera
first
was awesome.
game.
They also don't make him like that anymore.
Yeah.
In the documentary I was talking about, Implosion, they said that more people get to the top of Everest in a day than get to see the Titanic, where it is. But of course, more people get to the top of Mount Everest a day. They're now cheating in order to get to the top of Mount Everest in a day.
Yes, I don't know if anyone else saw this article that was in the New York Times. I want to say a week ago, but it was a story about these mountaineers who used I think xenon gas to acclimate to the altitude so that they could climb up Mount Everest faster. And it raises obviously all sorts of medical concerns, also ethical concerns. Like, is it better to be on the mountain less? Is that safer? Is it safer to, go at your own pace without any sort of like performance enhancing drugs? And it's also not a regulated sport, right? So it's not like there's any sort of like sport governing body that's like, hey, you can't do that. Like, this is people, spending their money in their free time to do something where it normally takes multiple weeks because you have to go to base camp and hang out for a while before you can climb up the mountain. And it's extremely dangerous, even though there's obviously guides who take you up there and, you need their help basically because it's so treacherous. But it just blew my mind that this is a thing that someone thought of, let alone that people are actually doing. And it's becoming one of those things where it's like, should it be hard to climb up Mount Everest? Should that be something that we can just do conveniently? Or is this something that is only important and like meaningful and profound because it's difficult? And like, I don't know. I had a lot of questions after reading this article. I thought it was crazy.
100% it should be difficult. It's only a cool thing because of how difficult it is, Jess. You made a great point. I don't understand why anybody would want to do this with performance-enhancing drugs.
Watered down. Not even impressive anymore.
Yeah,
you know
honestly.
what's impressive? Lord dropped pure heroin at age 16. That's impressive.
What?
Drew Barrymore, I think, was addicted to blow at 12.
That is impressive.
No, pure heroin was the name of an album.
It was.
Oh.
I think if you're climbing Mount Everest, you have to do it clean. Do you not?
You have to make the
like,
climb. Yes.
What is the point? Why don't you
From
just
the bottom to the top? Dan?
Why don't you just take a hot air balloon half of the way up? Was it Rosie Ruiz who took like a train for 23 miles of the Boston Marathon?
Well, apparently she cut through the course, but she may not have actually known she cut through the course until after she won. There's all sorts of like retconning of like what actually happened with her. It's like, did she win and then she was like, oh shit, or did she do it on purpose? Was it like mischievous? I'm not sure, Dan, but yeah, it does seem like one of those things. I don't know. You could ask David Sampson, I guess, your boss, Stugotz, what he thinks, because he climbed a mountain once or something and ran a marathon or something. I don't know what he does, but he talks about it and I zone out.
I won't ask him. Drew Barrymore, by the way, she began drinking at the age of 9, smoking marijuana at 10, used cocaine by the age of 12, wasn't addicted, though, until she was 13, okay?
Thank you.
That's
good,
a fine.
good correction.
Her being alive, period, is more impressive than any of these people climbing Mount Everest with the xenon gas. Just simply being alive.
That's a lot before the age of 13, man. It is.
No, it's really sad. It's one of those things, though, where it's like, yeah, I guess you don't know the side effects of like using this gas to go up the mountain. But like, do you want to find out? Because you could also just not climb the mountain, or just take an extra week off of work and do it the regular way. I don't know. It seems kind of scary.
It's why I didn't do it. So I mean,
same.
Yeah.
Stan Kroenke's fun to say.
It is.
Stan Kroenke is fun to say.
Favorite hockey player name, Jess?
Dreisaitl.
Really? That was
That
Dan's
our
whole
starting
gambit.
point. No,
Not a lot of German hockey players.
No, Rejo Ruzalainen.
Can I admit something super embarrassing that happened to me last night during the Panthers game?
Go for it.
First of all, I watched the Panthers game. I have not watched a Panthers game my whole life. That was the first one.
Well, don't do that again.
So it was the first quarter, and
Period.
McDavid. Period. Sorry. Oh my God, that was wow.
It's all right.
See, it's been a while.
How could she not know that?
Rejo Ruzalainen.
Doesn't work when you do it.
Better. I was trying to help. I know.
McDavid hit one off the post,
Call
and
Roots.
then I think the Panthers had a goal, but they were reviewing it to see if there was interference, whatever. So I'm just kind of reading my book while the game's on, and then 10 minutes later, McDavid hits one off the post, and then the Panthers score, but they're reviewing it to see if it actually was interference or not. And then I realized that my TV, I don't know if this has ever happened to you guys on YouTube TV, it rewound for some reason.
So you're like,
I
wow,
just
this
watched-
play, very similar
I'm
to
like,
10
this has
minutes
been a
ago.
really long period, and I can't believe this just happened again. And then I went forward to real time, and the Panthers were winning 2-1. So I was like, oh, well, they're probably going to win this game. So I went to bed.
He hit the same spot on the post.
I hate the Apple controller.
It's terrible. I don't know. I think someone must have sat on it. Maybe I sat on it. Maybe Willow sat on it.
Put it on the poll, please, at Le Batard Show. Do you hate the Apple controller? And also play that again. It's a bit of an upset for me to be fine on the last name and not the first name. Rejo Ruzalainen.
Nailed it.
How do you spell Rejo? Just off the top of your head, do you guys know how to spell? This is the Rejo Ruzalainen.
R-A-J-O.
I don't think that's it.
That does
It has to
feel
be.
right.
No, I don't
Ray
think,
Joe.
I don't think that's
R-A-Y-J-O?
No.
No?
I don't think so. I'm going to guess R-E-I-J-O, but that's why I struggled with it, because I stumbled past it. Not the funniest mistake I made today, though. The true heroin mistake.
Yeah, pure heroin. Yeah, that's just an album name. And heroin like hero, not the drug.
Yeah, bad mistake by me. Wasn't
And
aware
then
of
you were
that.
like Tommy Topper with, well, Drew Barrymore was addicted to coke at 13. I'm like, not really an artistic achievement, the likes of Lord's pure heroin.
Yeah, I thought you
Mike,
were
it's kinda your
accusing
fault, though.
Lord of being on pure heroin. That's what I thought.
R-E-I-J-O.
Thank you. Can you give us an update, please, on Lehman and how he's doing with that Knicks loss and how all of that has gone the last couple of days for you, being, next to a Knicks fan who is kind of broken?
Yeah, he was like, this is like if Notre Dame lost the national championship 2 years in a row to USC. And I was like, you're right. Like, I would probably walk into the river and never return if that were the case. The Tibbs thing is really interesting. I know you guys have covered it a lot, and I'm sure Sam Morrill will be on later to talk about it more. But if this is just James Dolan meddling, then that's not great. But if there's a plan to actually make a better hire, or someone that's going to not make some of the Tibbs mistakes, someone that's going to, dabble with different lineups during the regular season. Gasp. It's not the worst thing, but I don't know. It's just, we'll see, I guess. It's kind of bad analysis, but
I don't
they gonna
see,
hire?
and
I don't know.
I don't know, and we'll see is not the best analysis. We haven't gotten from Stugotz any thoughts on this. I don't know how he feels about Tibbs no longer being his coach.
I think when you fire Tibbs and you fire him that quickly after taking a team to a place they haven't been to in 25 years, they already know who the replacement's going to be. I think Worldwide West and Leon Rose, who's running that organization, they're trying to win now. They traded 5 first-round picks away from Mikal Bridges last year, and so they're trying to win now, and they think Tibbs is not the guy, but I think they have a guy. I don't know who that guy is. My guess would be Danny Hurley, because if you're going to make a move like this and do it that quickly, you have to have the replacement in place already. They'll go through the motions, they'll do the interviews, but I think they know who the head coach is going to be.
I thought Mad Dog was spot on with his rant. I don't know if you heard it, Stugotz, yesterday about it, but Dan Hurley, I haven't seen that name anywhere. Didn't UConn just give him a time? I mean, they're already paying Tibbs, like $30 million to leave, so they have to pay Hurley a ton of money too. It's.
But he's flirted with the NBA, Hurley. He almost did the Lakers job, and I think he said on this show that like
failed
New York, Northeast,
spectacularly.
that's where he loves to be, and the Knicks, I would assume would be a dream job for him.
If you're a Knicks fan, are you excited by that though? I don't know.
No.
Jerry Reinsdorf.
Oh God, why are you talking about him? That's not even a funny name.
Just fun names to say.
You
for
think
owners.
Reinsdorf is
Yeah,
a
it's a
fun
fun
name
one.
to say?
Yeah.
Put it on the poll at Le Batard Show. Is Reinsdorf a fun name to say?
Least fun to say? Jeff Ross.
I would say Rutsalainen.
Tim Spooneybarger was a fun name to say.
It is. Tim Spooneybarger is an excellent name to say. Excellent work by you, Billy. I appreciate that as a contribution. Anytime you can get in with a Marlins middle reliever.
Well, if baseball players are on the board, then it's Quentin McCracken.
Yeah. Ooh, that's a fun one.
I mean,
Jared-
Coco Crisp, yeah.
Jared
Their cousin named
Saltalamacchia.
You want to give it another go?
Jared Saltalamacchia.
My man.
There we go.
Not a lot of white Antons.
Put it on the poll at Le Batard Show. Have you ever met a white Anton at Le Batard Show? Rejo Rutsalainen.
Anton LaVey.
Rejo Rutsalainen. Do you guys think that that's better than Nikolai Habibulin?
I love when
Wall.
you lose confidence.
Rejo Rutsalainen.
A little speed bump. It's a hockey name. It's tough.
It's a lot of syllables.
Why
I'm
aren't you taking
tackling
Tony
there.
Twist?
It's
Just say Tony Twist and go on.
A lot of horrors.
Didomi's fun.
Bushman Zada.
Did you go Jeff Ross instead of Steve Ross?
Yeah, my bad there.
Oh.
So you went
Roast-
the
I thought you were going
Roastmaster
Roastmaster
General is
That's
what you
that's
did.
the most boring comedian name to say. All right, fun comedian name.
Minor penalty, 2 minutes. Stumbling.
Up. A shot of Malibu.
Get out. Get out. Thank you.
Sanders owns a lynch.
Gary Owen, good guess. Not great name, though, in terms of fun to say.
No, but great black comedian.
We needed to ask more follow-up questions. He didn't really answer how many black comedians he was competing against when he won Best Black Comedian in San Diego as a white comedian.
He just offered up, look, man, it's not like it was in New York.
He said, yeah, it's not Brooklyn, but he didn't. When I said, what were the contestants like? He's like, they were all right. And I'm like, I wasn't asking for the comedy competition. I was like, were they white or black? Who were you competing against?
Your questions to Gary Owen had trouble getting off the ground.
He helped us anyway, despite my deficiencies. Jessica, nice seeing you. We'll talk to you again next week.
Tell Mike sure I'm sorry.
I don't know how sorry you were. You made him 4th place ahead of...
It was just the finale. I just didn't like the last episode. I love the show, though. I love Jean Smart. She's so funny.
Love Island finished 5th.
It's early, though. 2 episodes.
And Hacks
A lot of
finished
controversy.
4th in her top 5 list. Billy, what happened here with your beloved Love Island and the Peacock streaming problems?
Well, I'm starting to suspect that there were no streaming problems. There was we have a problematic contestant. We need to make some edits here. Is I think what was actually going on there, because it was supposed to be the series premiere yesterday, and it was 9:00. Everyone was excited, and then all of a sudden it just wasn't there, and people were still trying to wonder what was going on. It wasn't there. It wasn't there. Lo and behold, the entire day, and I guess days before, they announced who the contestants are, and people had been tracking down the contestants and finding the skeletons in the closets of said contestants, and they had 2 particular contestants that they found some skeletons, and one of the contestants yesterday in the 2nd episode just disappeared in the middle of the episode. They came back from a commercial break, and they're just like, Yulisa has left the villa. And then that was the last and then they're just like, it's a beautiful morning, but it was just like a quick throw in. And it seems as though a contestant may or may not have been removed from the competition on the 2nd day of said show, which made me think, well, people were doing some digging around. And then this episode's release was delayed about 40 minutes, seemingly for no reason whatsoever. I put 2 and 2 together. I'm not a detective. I'm no Matlock. But I think that maybe we were making some edits to that first episode and cleaning some things out and maybe clearing some camera time for said contestant who was going to be removed later that day.
Matlock was a lawyer.
Yeah, but part of being a lawyer is being a detective. Everybody knows that.
He's right about that.
Yeah.
Well, Matlock was also a dude when I was growing up.
Didn't we talk about how no lawyer asks a question they don't know the answer to? How do you get that answers? You detect.
Put it on the poll, even though it's a controversial question. Should Matlock be a dude?
I don't know about that one.
I'm just saying.
Jess has only been gone for 2 minutes.
I'm just saying.
DEI.
Separation.
Starting to say things that may lead to you not being welcome on Love Island in the future, Dan. Be careful.
Would you guys
Don't say the N-word.
want to be?
That's what happened. That was one of the big controversies.
You'd think that'd be easy these days.
Mm-hmm.
What?
Like to be where?
To not say it.
Yeah, don't say it. Don't say it.
Didn't CNN announce the R word is back the other day?
I think
it's like a weird report.
I think the election did.
Oh.
Rutsalainen?
Well, let's just not say offensive things. If we can.
Ray Joe Rutsalainen.
Good goal.
That includes agreeing with Gilbert Arenas.
Yeah. He didn't know.
Right.
At the time.
We're just making sure
I
now that
still
he knows.
don't know. I still don't know what he said. I got an idea, but I still don't know what Gilbert Arenas said about Karl Anthony Towns. I'm guessing it was either misogynistic or homosexual slur or both.
We don't need to guess.
The first part.
Top
Only
five
the first
guesses?
part, which
I
was
mean-
a surprise.
Gary Owen, when he was on with us yesterday, mentioned something about how invasive reality shows are, and the idea, he was like, no bedroom, and then first show, he's like, the producers are really good, they were in the bedroom. Would you guys want a reality show in your house? Like, I would imagine that would threaten a relationship, to have that kind of invasion on your privacy, to have cameras around all the time. Would you guys want to do that?
How much am I getting paid? I mean, you have to factor that in, right?
You do, but I would ask if that number has to be exorbitant for you to do it, because I think a lot of people would like attention enough to do it. I don't think there's a circumstance under which I would want that kind of invasion in my home. But it's the cheapest television. It's wildly popular television. And I've got a few people in here I believe would do it for very little money. Very little money.